the incarceration rate, which is ever greater, needs to be scrutinized. The idea that we're putting almost 5 times as many people away, or actually are currently in prison, than when my father was my age is certainly discouraging. I can write letters, I can send mail and make phone calls to my Congress people. That doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't work. And if I can't change the laws, I feel what I can do is document the process. In my opinion, of the difference between a true, a free society where people aren't being harassed by armed government agents, in this case, the police department.
Okay.
So I film police in the course of their public duties. It's legal in every state. It's legal to do, and for some reason they seem to arrest people for taking part in that completely legal activity.
Okay, so you have experience yourself with this, right?
Yes. I was arrested by Milwaukee police officer Jason Katarik on May 12th of 2012 while filming them down on Old World 3rd off of Water Street.
And what was happening? Was it like a disturbance, a fight, or?
Right out in front of Tudo's bar, I saw probably 15 or 20 police officers congregated around 2 young ladies who appeared to be in some sort of, maybe an argument of some sort. And so I pulled out my camera and I started taking footage.
Okay. And then what happened?
They continued their activity for a few minutes. One officer told me to stay back. I said that I would. Shortly thereafter, 2 men who I believe may have been like plainclothes officers, like off-duty security job.
Okay.
They started coming up and pushing me and shining a flashlight in my eye and in my camera lens and telling me I couldn't film there on this public sidewalk where other people were, other individuals were congregated. I backed up a little bit, but I certainly resisted. I stated that it's my First Amendment right to record, which we'll go into a little later about the laws
right.
Currently.
Because I feel like the reason why this show is important to me is especially what happened recently with Derek Williams and, finding you on the same search engine as him.
Yeah.
And you're, being in Milwaukee, it kind of like all goes together with,
sure.
And I felt like we need to really break open this and talk about it openly instead of, we need to get to the root of the issue with the Milwaukee police.
Yeah. The Milwaukee police, have been through some pretty serious and are currently going through some pretty serious issues as far as the illegal strip searching, certainly the Derek Williams. There was another incident the middle of the month here where a police officer was shot. The person arrested for it claims that the cop shot himself, and the cop claims that the suspect shot him. But there was at least one cell phone video of this, and the Milwaukee Police Department confiscated it. According to CBS, well, let me just get
pull it out.
Let's see here. I'm sorry, according to TMJ4.
Okay.
So the idea that all these things are going on with Milwaukee police, they need to be filmed. Somebody needs to at least document it. They're not taking care of their own actions and not holding people accountable, in my opinion.
Right.
And if they won't do it, then maybe it's time for us citizens to, just pick up a camera. I'm not saying do anything. I wish no violence to anyone ever. But the least that we can do for each other and for ourselves is to go ahead and pull out a camera and just document what's going on.
Right. And just in case, it might be used, or it might not.
It's a huge deterrent. If there's a citizen standing there with a camera, people are generally going to be more well behaved.
You're less likely to smash somebody on
Right.
top of a police car, for
Right.
instance.
Right. And to be honest, it discourages anybody from misbehaving.
Right,
If I'm
right.
getting arrested for whatever it is that I'm getting arrested for, I'll probably be a little, I don't know. I guess
Well,
I'm not in that
it can be
situation on a
recorded
regular.
and reviewed.
Right,
And, yeah,
right,
so,
right.
yeah. And I feel like videos don't lie.
I agree.
When I watched the Derek Williams video, all I saw was that this person begged to be helped.
Yeah.
He wasn't helped, and he died. I seen all of that within 10 minutes.
It was a 7-minute video of a man slowly suffocating to death. I mean, as we were talking before the show, probably the worst death a person could really, arguably
Because it
suffer.
was slow, it was horrible.
It was excruciating. It was. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. I did not watch the whole video.
Well, I'm traumatized because I did watch it because I knew that it changed me. I knew it would be something important. Actually, I got the stats. Let's see. On World Star Hip Hop, there's over 300,000 hits. WorldStarHipHop.com.
Yep.
And then in 4 days on YouTube.com, there's 36,000 hits on this same video that's being, dispersed.
Yep. And I think a lot more people have seen it because, the news outlets will pull clips and edit it down,
Right,
and
to
they'll
him
show it. Yeah.
just,
So
waving about it.
Yep. It won't. The YouTube hits, the 36,000 are probably 10 or 20 times that at least. Of people who actually witnessed a portion of the video, whether it be on the news or clips or whatever it was. So it's a huge issue, and I think anybody who sees that particular video, well, I would hope that they would agree that more transparency and more accountability needs to be sought. I think that certainly filming the actions of these individuals is
Right.
a step in the right direction.
Actually, what I noticed on these bulletins, blogs, and on YouTube, I would read the comments
Yep.
that people said, and I'm quoting somebody. They said he deserved what he had it
That's-
coming to him. Now, when people start that,
Yep.
that's not a free society.
Correct.
That's not
Correct.
going to a judge.
Yep.
That's not going to a jury. That's judging this man on the street and saying, hey, he was a bad guy. He
Right.
deserves to die. What about the justice system?
Well, and he's suspected, I think, of robbery. I don't know if he, grabbed a couple packs of cigarettes from behind some counter. I don't know what it is, and I don't advocate robbery, but like you said, he's never been tried and convicted, and the result of such an action is certainly not death by suffocation.
Right.
So it's just another tipping point. I mean, it seems like there are tipping points with Milwaukee police every day with the...
Well, how many do we need before something happens?
And
you
I
know?
agree. And I've actually contacted Sergeant Michael Jones of the Milwaukee Police Department is the individual in charge of records requests. You can Google Milwaukee Open Records, and his name will come up. He's the boss. He told me through a records request that they do not have any training or any directives regarding the citizen's right to film. I also spoke with a lady at the Police and Fire Commission. Excuse me, I don't remember her name, but in our conversation, it seemed to me that she was somewhat disappointed because she's also aware that they don't have any training or policy which affirmatively sets forth the citizen's right. That particular issue is covered in Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States of America.
Okay.
He goes into that in the memo that I have here that maybe we'll get to.
Yeah, you can read it now.
Okay. Well, the background on this is Baltimore, Maryland Police Department had several high-profile incidences of officers arresting people for filming. I believe several of those entailed them seizing the cameras and or deleting the video. But either way, they had a bunch of issues with it. The department did put out an affirmative memo stating citizens do have the right to record. And can you guess what happened 2 days after that interdepartment memo went out?
What happened?
An individual was standing, and the video's online, standing there filming some police, literally the Saturday night after this memo went out, and he was threatened with loitering, which is surprisingly the exact same statute that I'm accused of violating. So shortly thereafter, as I recall, the Department of Justice, this was May 16th, issued a memo stating that citizens do have the right to record. And I'll just give you a brief...
It's just basically backing up what we're talking about. That's why I want you to,
Right.
you know.
In part, it states, and it's 11 pages. It lists case law after case law. But it states no individual is required to display press credentials in order to exercise his or her right to observe, photograph, or video record police activity taking place. You know, there's a whole bunch, but I'm reading from Carlos Miller's PINAC, which is Photography is Not a Crime. He has, I think, about 5 million views
Wow.
on that site, and he's a big advocate for the right to record. He quoted some of these. There's one in particular. This principle related to, of course, the main point of the article, which is the allowing of filming of police. This principle is particularly important in the current age where widespread access to recording devices and online media have provided private individuals with the capacity to gather and disseminate newsworthy information with an ease that rivals that of traditional news media.
Okay.
Again, just like the Derek Williams case, YouTube, you know, World Star Hip Hop, Live Leak, you know, these videos are getting hundreds of thousands of hits. And although it was taken by MPD themselves,
They have to get the release.
Yep.
Yeah.
The ability for the citizens to put stuff out there that they think is important is much more easy now than it was 10 or 20 years ago.
Right.
And the fact that that is so easy and that the video cameras are so prevalent, you know, leads us to the situation we're at right now, where people are getting arrested for simply doing
Using
nothing
their
illegal.
First Amendment right.
Yeah.
Do you know why it took so long for the video to come out? I really didn't focus on that.
Originally, with the Derek Williams video, because the incident happened a year ago, I think,
Right.
Last summer, he, you know, the first of all, the police department, I don't know what their immediate reaction is. It didn't get any publicity that I know of.
Not that I can remember. It was. Now I was told this happened in River West. Actually, it was Holton and Center.
Okay.
I was told that this was within the same week of the kids who ransacked and robbed a convenience store.
Okay.
And then
The
it-
like 20 or 30 kids. Yeah, I remember
And then
that,
it
yeah.
was some type of disturbance at the park a couple blocks from here.
Okay.
So, you know, it was really tense.
Yeah,
It was kind of
yeah.
tense over here.
Yep.
So now think about it. Think of the atmosphere, you know, these kids and, you know.
I get it. And of course, that was around the state fair stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, the actions of a few don't dictate that this man needs to have some sort of capital punishment in the back of a police car.
Right. And that's why this is important to me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, you know, with those comments that they're making on these websites, it's almost justifying what happened to this guy.
And you know, I don't take a lot of the comments to heart. There are, I guess, in my opinion, there are police sympathizers, and I would guess police officers themselves who seek out a lot of these videos, and you know, deal out a little bit of internet justice.
Oh, sure.
You know, to the tune of some swear word laced rant where they justify this kind of stuff. And of course, any reasonable person is gonna not take that into consideration. And I would hope most of the comments were advocating for
Yeah,
proper
I mean,
resolution.
as a whole, I saw people, saying that they were sorry that this happened and, condolences to his family. But then another aspect of it is it's a lot of racial tension with this
Absolutely.
too. And so I wanted to focus on that for a minute too. Being an African American lady, when I was 18, I got into an altercation with police, and I ran.
Yeah.
And I thank God that they didn't shoot me in the back or whatever. It was a lot of people out there, so I think I
Yeah,
was pretty
yeah.
safe.
Yep,
But
yep.
that fight or flight
Yep.
feeling that you get, you don't know what happened to this person previous.
And I can understand that. I mean, out in the suburbs in Waukesha, I'm essentially 100% guaranteed that if I go walking around at 10:30 at night in the dark, I'm not going to get stopped and frisked. I'm not going to, I'm not
Or
going to be
mishandled per se.
likely not. Likely, I mean, yeah. I'm not going to get harassed for just walking down the street, and that's
Right. But what happens and what I've experienced and what people have told me is, the culture, the different, let's just say different ethnicities, they get treated different. Hey, what are you doing? It's more abrupt.
Yeah.
It's rough housing a little bit, and then I've been using the label abuse of power.
Yep.
This person has a weapon. This person is trained to put you down.
Yep.
And hey, why not try it today? It
And-
just seems like this culture wants, to keep the races divided.
There's a book that was recently released called something along the lines of the new Jim Crow, which is the drug war, a drug war related book. But they do, the idea that black folks or people in, brown people,
Right.
Hispanics, are more subjected to police interactions. It's certainly true.
Okay.
I wish I should have had the statistics, but of course, black folks are 8 or 10 times more likely to be like imprisoned than white people.
Right. And it starts like this, and this is what I've noticed. Like, you're a young kid, you get caught with, let's say, marijuana.
Yep.
Oh, you got a ticket. Oh, now you have a record. Oh, you got caught with something in your car
Yep.
or driving without a license. Now you're in the system.
Yep.
See, that's how it starts.
And you're labeled a criminal.
Criminal
I mean,
at 19, maybe.
Yep. You can be, if you have a little joint of marijuana, you can be all of a sudden a misdemeanor individual convicted of a misdemeanor that affects your college loans. It affects everything. And
so just imagine, it's kind of like setting you up for the future.
it absolutely is.
So when these years go by, now you're on probation, you're young, you're immature, you mess up on probation.
Yep.
I mean, you're a kid.
Well, and it's so hard to not do stuff that's, I mean, there's so many laws. I kind of read the state statutes as
That's
somewhat
good.
of a hobby, and I've been doing it for 10 or 15 years.
Wow.
And
I always wanted to know what was 94019. You always see that one on.
you can just Google it. Google Wisconsin State Statutes 94019.
You know what I mean? Like
It's the criminal code, I believe. I know 960 deals with a lot of criminal code. But yeah, if you want to look at an actual law, if there's an issue that you're dealing with law, go ahead and look in the state statutes with annotations. That'll give you the case law.
Right.
The Supreme Court decisions and judge decisions to kind of emphasize the meaning of the law in the eyes of the judiciary.
Okay, so let's go back to this culture of setting this person up to fail, in my opinion. Okay, so you get this kid, now he's 23, he has a record. He has a kid, maybe. He needs a job.
Yep.
He can't get a job.
Yep.
So then now you're already a loser, quote unquote, because now you can't get a job. What are you going to do?
Well,
So then you have a run-in with the police.
Yep.
They mistreat you. They
well,
treat you
you're a
poorly.
repeat offender at
Right.
that time in
They,
their eyes.
they treat you poorly.
Yeah.
You're in their custody. They mishandle you. They hurt you. You try to tell somebody,
Yep.
and then nothing comes out of it. And this has happened to me,
Yep. Yep.
where you tell the truth to the police, and by the way the police officer writes up the incident, it's gold.
It is. It absolutely
you
is.
know what I mean? So now think about our justice system. Think about our police.
Yep.
Think about all the way up to the top. Like how corrupt is the Milwaukee system? That's the question.
I believe it's very corrupt. Honestly, my girlfriend and I, we haven't done it for a while, but occasionally we would come down to Milwaukee, 11, 12 at night, go anywhere,
Go out.
cruise by just to drive around and see.
Oh,
me.
really?
Just to kind of see what's going on. And we would occasionally go by the bars in, like on Water Street, but always would make it up to the north side. And on multiple occasions, just right down here at Locust and I-43, we were pulling up to a stoplight, and this was about the time before the Punishers, if you recall. You can Google that. Punishers Milwaukee Police, this gang within the Milwaukee Police.
Are you kidding me?
Before that was all uncovered, we were sitting at a stoplight, and there were probably 8 or 10 of these cops with like the stocking caps, and they looked just
scary,
absolutely menacing. And I said, because we're for the most part law-abiding people. Just the idea of these individuals walking around my neighborhood would be so unsettling.
Like a rogue cop.
Yeah, well,
so you're saying
they walk
that
with their arms swinging.
the MPD has a gang?
The MPD, it was affiliated with the Frank Jude case. These individuals called the Punishers, which I think there's an emblem. If you Google image Punishers, there's an emblem.
I know what the Punisher.
I think
the
it's a
symbol
bike gang.
is from a movie, from a cartoon.
Yeah, a comic strip. Yep, you're right.
Actually, ironically, my brother has that tattoo,
Yep.
but he's not affiliated with these guys.
Yeah, he doesn't.
just appreciated the animation,
Right.
the movie. But wow, I never knew that.
And they took it to. They would have these on their cop cars, stickers. I've heard, and
so they know who was with their group.
Right. You know what can you
criminals.
Absolutely.
Cop criminals.
And now, it's the same issue I heard today from WTMJ 620 AM that it's alleged that 2 of the officers involved in the Derek Williams case were also involved in the strip search case.
Now, what's the strip search case? I'm not familiar with it. I haven't watched TV in 2 years.
Well, I follow
for this reason.
I follow this. I can definitely fill you in here.
Okay.
About 6 months ago, a story broke with all the papers stating that the cops in this area here were sticking their fingers inside people's bodies on the side of the street. I believe one of the individuals named
sodomizing people.
Either sodomizing or I think for females, doing something similar, putting them, if not inside of them, but putting rubber gloves on and going right up the back or whatever.
That's not right.
And so now there's a federal investigation. The FBI is investigating this, and now all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, 2 of these guys are reportedly affiliated with that particular incident that's going on, continuing.
Were with the Derek Williams case.
Yeah, 2 of them were involved.
I did not know that.
And so that just, again, goes towards the lack of accountability that MPD provides. I personally, even for my false arrest, and they kind of jerked me around in handcuffs a little, I got a little wound that bled.
You were bleeding, I saw it.
I tried to file a complaint. One of the times I was threatened with arrest because I told this man that I'm concerned about retaliation and that Milwaukee police, are not allowed on my property, don't knock on my door, It's, you can see all the videos are out there. I'm trying to be transparent here. All of them are out there on my channel, Milwaukee Citizen Press,
On
YouTube channel. Yep.
Right.
But I'm still trying to file a complaint with them. I've been denied making a verbal complaint by 3 different individuals of Milwaukee Police Internal Affairs.
Okay.
I tried to file a complaint with the Police and Fire Commission, and they said that since I'm alleging crimes, one crime being false police report, also known as false swearing, which I believe is a Class I felony in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Because the officer that arrested me, his story on the police report
was nothing like.
No.
Yeah. So how do we? I mean, I did not know it was this dirty.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So how? Okay. So now the people who live, let's say, in the suburbs,
Yep.
they don't have no idea how it is in Milwaukee, and this is why I'm doing this show.
Yeah.
Because, why did that person run? They deserve that. Now these comments need to be rebutted with these facts that we're speaking on. The police have their own gang, period. We don't know if it's still continuing, if it's done or what. Frank Jude, he was almost killed by the police.
Yeah, they shove a pen in his ear.
Did we forget about that, Milwaukee? You know what I mean? Like, I remember that. I'm fearful of police. I don't like to be alone with a police officer. In that case, I stop, when I was driving, I would stop and just watch. This is before I even thought of you or anything like this.
Right.
Just to make sure nothing happened, especially to young kids, like we're talking about the young black teenagers, for example. My nephew doesn't have any criminal, like just parking tickets, stuff like that. Well, guess what? He was roughhoused by a cop. He's a skinny little guy, just like how Kevin Williams. He was very small, bone.
Yeah, he was tiny.
Like, not, you know what I mean? What's the structure? His stature is smaller.
He was probably, he looked like he was like 6'1" or 6'2", 140. I mean, he was tiny.
Right.
His shirt was off in the video. You could tell.
And you could see his bones, you know. Yeah. So just imagine a person that's bigger than you, trained to hurt you, put you down, and then I want to instill this fear on you.
And that's what they want. They want submission, not cooperation.
And the guy was calling him sir the whole time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mind, you can fill in the blank.
I'll tell you, if the kind of stuff was going on in Waukesha that's going on here, I would run too. To be completely honest, I'm a 33-year-old guy. I don't generally violate the law.
Right. But
but I'd be running.
Now you understand why people run from the police.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be alone with this guy.
Right. Especially with the strip search and with the Derek Williams. The last person I'm going to call if I'm in trouble is more trouble. I'm not going to dial 911 so that I can get who knows what happened to,
Because you don't know what cop you'll get.
Right.
Is it the good guy or is it the rogue cop?
Right. And if it is the rogue cop and the good guy's there, is the good guy going to stand up for me?
Exactly.
And tell somebody what happened?
So it's like we have no justice here. We're losing our human rights in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yep.
And that's why this is a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
And
the easy remedy, or at least a step in the right direction, is just pulling out a video camera and filming. Back to my arrest, if we could, just to
go for it.
After the bouncers or the plainclothes guys started pushing me, I filmed, and you can see it again on Milwaukee Citizen Press YouTube channel. I backed away and I photographed some other individuals standing and just watching, and I walked over to them. I was accosted again by these guys, and shortly thereafter a horse-mounted cop came over and started shining the flashlight in my eyes again. That's pretty standard. And I started to walk away. During that part, when the plainclothes officers were, pushing me around, telling me to get out of there.
Okay.
One of the uniformed officers says, "You guys want him?" So that's why I assume that they were cops.
Right, because they were working together some type of way.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that's just my speculation.
Okay.
So I was walking away, and someone came up and tapped one of these cops or asked him for some help down the road, almost directly in front of Sweet Lounge, which is the bar that I had been at for the last hour or so with
Okay.
my girlfriend for her 31st birthday.
Okay.
We went down there. I asked a sergeant where I should stand because they already had a problem with me down there, and he says nothing. So people are crossing. I'm about 10 feet away. People are crossing in between myself and the group of police officers, and the sergeant yells, step back 20 feet. In the video, I put a couple of little pop-ups, that say, well, this guy can stand here. All these other people are
Right.
in
I
between
thought
us.
you did it very well because there was a woman, they're telling you, they singled you out and they said, you go back. But then there's a woman closer to the police officer
right.
and the horse. I saw that.
Yep, the
And I'm
black
like,
lady.
Why,
and then
why
there's another white guy who walks in the street, like right through the scene
through
almost.
the whole
Yeah.
drama. So you're like, why do these people get to...
Yeah, and they don't.
And they're not in harm's way, and they're on a public street.
Yeah.
And then I saw there was a debate of if this is a public street by the bar. They were saying,
The
well,
bartender,
we
yeah.
own... No, you don't own the sidewalk.
No. And that, even the citation that I actually received says that I'm charged with loitering.
Okay.
So the bartender tells me to get out of here. I tell him no. I say BS. I kind of yelled it because it was frustrating. This private individual is telling me to get off of a public sidewalk. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
Right.
So then my girlfriend and the two other friends we were with said, they convinced me. I said, okay, we'll go. And he saw me say that. The thing that really angered him, I believe, was the fact that as I was walking past him, which he was in the center of the sidewalk blocking it,
Okay.
as we were walking past him, saying nothing and leaving, I took a shot of his nameplate, which is Katarik, Officer Jason Katarik. He's a motorcycle cop. That didn't sit well with him. He immediately told me to put my hands behind my back. He seized my camera. That was what he went for. There was actually...
So you weren't doing anything to him? You didn't push him?
Nope. And the three other people with me were doing the exact same thing that I was.
And he took your property from you?
He did seize my camera, which is contrary to law, as I see it, and certainly contrary to the Justice Department memo.
Okay.
My camera disappeared for a few minutes, and my girlfriend, and her friends were standing there, and I said, please, get my camera. And eventually they did give it to this gal, Val, my girlfriend's really good friend. They gave it to her, and I'm really glad they did because I don't know what would have happened. And
It would have been confiscated just like
that's
the
what
one
I
that
think,
just happened
and I think
2
it would have
weeks
been
ago.
deleted.
Right.
As I was saying, immediately when he said, put your hands behind your back, he grabbed for the camera. The camera was immediately turned off, turned back on again, and then turned off again. Yeah. And,
Wow.
it's a pretty easy camera to operate. There's a big red button on the back. So he knew what he was doing.
He was getting rid of his part.
Well, yeah,
per
he
se.
was at least shutting it down for now. And like we were saying earlier, I agree. With a lot of people think that they do this to people to at least get them out of there that night. In this case, I don't want more than one charge hanging over me. So I'm essentially too afraid to go back out there until this charge is dropped.
Wow. That's sad.
My trial they originally said, pay us $75 and we'll make this go away, plea deal thing. I refused and requested a trial. My trial was scheduled for September 4th. I showed up for court, and there's a video of that incident as well,
Okay.
of me showing up for court. And they tell me then that, your trial's been delayed till November 14th. The officer requested an adjournment. I mean, he arrested me. He knew for 4 months.
What was going to happen?
Right. So I'm going to try to go to trial. All I have to do is show the video, and it'll prove that
So the video can be evidence.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The video will be evidence. The only issue is, I'm concerned that my trial will be dismissed, as it has with a gentleman by the name of Jeff Davidian, who is a retired Journal Sentinel photographer, or I guess he's not retired, but he's a gentleman who is almost 70 years old, who's been doing this for a long time.
Okay.
Apparently, an officer blasted out of one of these alleyways, and I've seen him do it, into the road, T-boned a car, according to him, and he was recording the ongoing, whatever they do after an accident. They did ticket the driver who was T-boned by this guy. She
really?
was, I believe it was a female. She was driving down the road. The guy T-boned her coming out of an alley. They ticketed her for suspended license or something. They denied any culpability in the accident. And they ended up arresting Jeff, this almost 70-year-old former Journal Sentinel reporter.
What was the charge?
They charged him for interfering. And I've spoken with Jeff. I believe he was a significant distance away. But, a cop T-boned a car. It's pretty clear to anybody going by that, who was in the right-of-way.
Right.
So they ticketed him. He did the same thing I did. He requested a trial. It took a while. And eventually, I believe the officer didn't show for that either. And they dismissed it. And he's pretty upset about that. He's handing out pamphlets in front of the Milwaukee Municipal Court on a semi-regular basis. The guy was doing his job. That's what he's paid to do, is take pictures. And for that, he went through, 4 to 6 months of ridiculousness within the system, quote unquote.
Right. How do you feel we can get past all this? I mean, in a general sense, because this is deep-seated. When the Derek Williams case came about, I do believe it was WTMJ. They had a family. I can't think of his name. Did I write it down? Where it was in 1981, and he died in police custody, and then they brought back that family and put them on the news. It's on WTMJ.
Yep.
And she was saying that it stirred up everything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, this stirred up what I went through with police. I can't tell you many positive experiences with the Milwaukee Police Department.
Yep.
I mean,
their job, it appears to me, is for much of the part is to collect revenue. And I mean, I get there are bad people out there. There are people
where you have to be
dangerous.
tough, protect yourself, protect the community.
Yeah.
That is a police officer's job.
Yeah,
I agree.
But it seems like it's an us against them mentality with the police. They look at anybody with suspicion who doesn't have a badge on. You can see this highlighted on sites like police1.com, where there will be. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Derek Williams article on there, and I can guarantee that the comments on there by police officers say just horrible things. There was an incident where a gal, she was like 102 pounds, and she was in handcuffs. She ran out of this police station in Arkansas or something.
Okay.
And this cop tasered her. Of course, she dropped like a brick, and now she's in a coma forever. She's brain dead.
People have died from being tased.
It is such a big issue. I think a start of what we can do as a community, all of us, is just pull out the camera and film it. It's a tough thing to do because we all do watch police activity. It's a tough thing to go to that next step and pull out the camera and have them see you with the camera and have the looks that they give you. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy. The first couple times it's tough. It's real scary.
It's scary. Because they have a weapon and you don't.
And they
look at you as almost like an enemy. I don't want to,
They do.
But I've had bad experiences too.
That's how I feel like when I've videotaped in Waukesha also. on a different channel, YouTube channel, but you know that they're watching you, and it's scary. You know, no matter, even if it's just a regular traffic stop, it's scary because.
So you're telling me that the police officers that were involved with Derek Williams, I heard this on the street. I didn't read it because like I said, I rarely watch television.
Yeah.
But I could not believe that this actually happened, that these cops were sexually assaulting people that they pulled over or stopped or said, hey, come over here.
Yep, I think and you won't believe what Chief Flynn called this. He called it, he referred to it as noble cause misconduct. Yep.
How is that a noble cause?
Noble cause misconduct, because he thinks that his officers were, trying to do the right thing. They wanted to get that, gram of pot off the street.
How does going in somebody's underwear? Couldn't that happen down where they go downtown?
It's only supposed to be done by a nurse or a physician, according to Wisconsin state law, as I understand it.
They violated the law.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal, and something like that. I mean,
while in uniform.
Oh yeah, while in uniform, doing like a Terry stop or just a stop and frisk type thing. Stop and talk.
That is horrendous.
It's
now think
unbelievable.
about those people. They were sexually assaulted. Now think about them when they see somebody pulled over. It all comes back. It's post-traumatic
and they're
stress
gonna
disorder.
Run, even if they're not even doing anything.
Right.
If somebody did that to me, I would be frightened, to say the least, of anyone who was wearing that same piece of metal on their shirt.
Right. Ironically, for Halloween, at Goodwill, I found for $10 a MPD original shirt.
Really?
It's a police officer shirt. It's missing
You're kidding.
But I wore it one day. You hear me?
Yeah.
I got the worst looks. People wanted to rip my head off.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
So, I mean, cops do get a bad rep, and I had to keep telling people, it's just a joke.
Yeah.
I'm not a cop, But so, and then people moved away from me.
Yeah.
So, with this MPD comes a culture of fear.
I agree. And if you look at them, down on Old World 3rd and on Water Street on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, you can look at them, and
it's like they're almost ready. Like,
yeah, that's what I felt like in my instance. There was, after my arrest, they had, I was sitting on the curb, with my backside on the curb and my legs outstretched, crossed, with my hands behind my back, cuffed. There were 3 or 4 or 5 horses, like police-mounted horses, on a semicircle facing me, and then just a whole bunch of them behind them. Like it was like these battle lines. It was just unbelievable.
For you?
Yeah, for me, and that's.
So you're outnumbered. You're outweaponed.
And it's, it's like,
it's
what is all of this for? I mean, this guy could have probably handled this on his own. I didn't resist. I didn't. He told me to put him behind my back. I put him behind my back.
So
but
how did you
it was
get
an
the
intimidation
injury?
factor.
How did you get the injury?
When I was sitting there, and again, there's all these cops. It's a scary situation. I'm certainly not mellow and calm. My nerves are on edge, and it's like, holy smokes, this is
really happening.
Well, yeah, for something so ridiculous.
Minor, and you didn't hurt anybody. You didn't rile them up. I watched the video.
I didn't even pose a risk to anybody. It was pretty clear that I just was going to stand there, and I shot my mouth off a little bit to him.
But that isn't a crime.
No, that's not a crime. Houston v. Hill and tons of case law supports that.
Right.
I was sitting there on the curb, and right before my release, or they were getting ready to release me, and one of them jerked my arm, I guess trying to jerk me to my feet. And I'm not a small guy. I went up a little bit, but I came right back down.
You were sitting down flat.
Yeah, I was sitting down on my backside with my feet out.
Yeah. He didn't tell you?
He didn't tell me. What happened is, and then I said, chill out, man. You don't have to be so rough. And another guy came over. He said, put your feet underneath you and stand up. They both, kind of held my arms as I did that. I stood up. It worked just fine. It would have worked the first time.
Right, like 1, 2, 3, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But he just jerked you,
Right.
pulled you up,
Right. So
when
I
you
got
weren't ready for it.
I didn't, I knew there were cops milling about, the whole time. So I didn't know if he was going to release me. I thought I was going to jail that night. I had no idea.
Wow.
You know,
Well, thank God you didn't.
I'm glad I didn't.
I'm sorry
be an
that happened to
experience,
you,
but-
Tim. You know what you sound like? You
What?
sound like somebody that's been abused. You know?
Yeah, I would definitely call it abuse.
Yeah.
I would definitely call it abuse.
The verbiage and everything that you're using, the way you look, your body language is the same way somebody is who's been assaulted
Yeah.
or mishandled or mistreated. I feel the same way because I have several experiences with the MPD.
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm sorry that
Well,
happened to you.
and
but I'm glad that you're doing this.
You bet. And that's what I've said on my channels. This is of the utmost importance in my life. And, especially in these neighborhoods, this is where
People
a
don't
lot
know
of
their
the
rights,
this is
too.
where a lot of the abuse is taking place. And, down on Water Street, I think they handle people a little differently than they do out here.
Because
And if
they're from different areas.
Yeah, if they're doing this to us, I can't imagine, on top of all the news reports and the Derek Williams and the strip searching.
And what we don't hear about.
Exactly. And what's not reported. I do want to mention the ACLU is issuing or has released a recording app for iPhones and iPods and everything associated with that. There's also recording apps for Android phones, which allow you to record. It streams directly to your account. It's all free.
Oh, that's
streams
great.
directly to your account. Saves it off-site.
Right.
In the cloud
so
or
if
whatever.
it gets deleted, it won't.
Yep. So they
go
can break
away.
your phone or do whatever they want, and it never goes away.
That's nice.
And,
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, the ACLU, they're doing state-by-state ones. In Wisconsin, you can record anything. We're a single-party consent state. They don't have, wiretapping charges. 12 states do.
Wow.
There was a guy in Illinois who was charged with, 65 years in prison for filming these cops telling him to get an old beat-up car off his lot. And they literally charged him with several felonies for several different instances. And he was facing 65 years. He was on 60 Minutes, and finally the court ruled that you can't, somebody filming in public is a core
their
right.
rights.
It's a core right.
Well, okay. Thanks for being on the show, Tim.
Thank
I wanted
you.
to quickly go over some human rights.
Mm-hmm.
I got this from the Declaration of Human Rights. It's UN.org. It has over 30 articles. So I'll just read them and then we'll close the show.
Okay.
All humans are born free. Everyone is entitled to rights no matter of their race, color, creed, nationality. Everyone has a right to life. No one should be enslaved. All are equal before the law without discrimination. And we're all entitled to a fair and public hearing. You're innocent until proven guilty. We all have the right to marry, the right to own property, the right of freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom of opinion, freedom of peaceful assembly, which is standing on the street.
Yeah, standing on the street.
We have the right to work, the right to rest and leisure, and we also have the right to educate. There's more, but those were the ones I wanted to mention because if these are human rights
Yeah.
that are slowly being pulled away
Yep.
because we're saying, oh, he deserved that. When
Yep.
actually,
He didn't
Derek
deserve
Williams did not
He didn't
deserve
deserve
that
that.
because I just read that it was his right to a trial.
Yep. Yep.
So he didn't need that trial
No, he didn't.
in the
He-
back
he-
of the
he-
police car.
No.
So everyone who says that on those bulletins, you're absolutely wrong.
Yeah, it's sad that people would say that, but some people wanna just get a rise out of others, and
But it's
that's certainly one way
conditioning.
to
That's
do
a
it.
part of conditioning,
Yeah,
though.
I agree.
So, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Have a great weekend.
I wanna, if I could, just say hi,
Okay.
Cassie and Crescencia, My girlfriend and her mother are in Memphis, and they're listening. And
Oh, they should have called in.
hope they have a safe trip.
Okay, also, tonight is the benefit show at Linneman's. Food, fun, bands, comedy, and community. Linneman's is... I don't know where Linneman's is. I think it's on Locust. Look it up. They have the Freddie Lee Band, the Julie B4, Ian and Company, Cricket D, and Quale Live. Frere Auto, Onion Breath Theater, Chuck Santiago. 8 o'clock. Check them out. Peace.